Tell us about the time that you got investigated by the FBI.
Well, I didn't get investigated. I got arrested.
Okay.
So I got arrested at gunpoint, like more guns than I've ever seen. And
Is it like the movies where they come in the jackets?
It was just like that.
Too short for the intro.
Yeah, I'm the little guy on the end today.
This is nice. I'm never used to being the tallest one in the group, but here we go. Well, Corey, thanks for having us into the store.
No
Mr.
worries.
Castanetti, it's my first time in here. It's like a time bomb from the past. My dad would love it in here.
Well, bring them in.
For sure. And Corey, I mean, you wanna start us off? You guys wanna tell us kind of who you are and what you guys have been doing recently?
So we are Sportsworld. We are located in Saugus, Mass. New England's largest sports memorabilia shop. Been in business since 1986, or at least this guy has. Second generation coming in. Hopefully growing the business, taking over, and keeping it fresh.
What about you, Mr. Castanetti? What's it been like over these last 40 years?
Well, it's been a long run, and it's been good. It's been a living, and it's been fun. It's fun coming to work in the morning, and it's just still enjoyable after all these years.
What kind of like got you into this originally? I feel like it's kind of every kid's dream to have a collection like this, but how did you commercialize it?
So I was delivering the mail and didn't want to do that anymore. So I opened a little store with two partners back in 1986, and within a year I bought them both out, and then it just took off, and we moved a couple times to bigger and better locations every time, and we moved here 2 years ago, and it's really just busier than ever.
Is this the biggest location that you've had so far?
Yeah, I started at 400 square feet. Now we're at 5,000, and we could probably use another 5,000.
That's crazy. What talk about like the transition throughout, the past 40 years with introduction of, e-commerce and digital world and transitioning from a much more standard business that you were used to when you started to what it's come to now.
So, I mean, I'm not even into any of that technology stuff. That's why Corey's got to step up and get into that, because I'm past that point to learn. And so, it was good at the beginning. It was easy, before the computers. I mean, there was nothing back when I opened, and you just would go to card shows or people would come in, and that's it. Now there's nothing rare anymore because of eBay. Whatever you want to find, you can find it. I mean, you might not find it right away, but years ago, if you were looking for something, you could go years and years and years without finding it. Now, I mean, you can maybe a week or two, and you can find anything you want.
When it was like that without the internet or anything like that, were you kind of the person that was able to be the market on certain things because of the demand? You could just be like, what, this is what I think it's worth, and when you tell someone that's what it's worth now? Oh,
absolutely. Especially back then, like hometown players would command like double. Like,
for sure.
If you were in California at a show, you could get the stuff for, below book and then bring it back, get double, triple, and that's how it was, because you couldn't go on eBay, like I said, and buy stuff. So we could set the market on prices, and if they didn't buy it from me, then you'd have to go shopping for it, and it wasn't easy to find back then.
What was it like going to the first card show for you in the 80s?
Yeah, definitely in the 80s. I remember, I think it was 1985, seeing Mickey Mantle in Connecticut. Went down for that card show, and we were buying Don Mattingly and Dwight Gooden rookies, and that was the hot thing, back then, because the two big New York guys were coming up, and Mickey Mantle autographs were $8 that day, and it sure had changed a lot.
Wow, $8 for a
It was
Mickey
$8.
Mantle?
I remember buying 5 autographs for $40.
And what'd you sell those 5
I
autographs
still have
for?
all 5.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
If somebody came in here today and they were to ask, like, hey, I want those 5 autographs, what's that price?
I don't even know if I would sell them.
But beyond the sentimental value, what would your return be?
A couple $1,000 a piece now, probably, because it was unique items I got done.
That's not a bad investment.
No.
Corey, what was your first card show like? Do you have any recollection of that?
So every Sunday there was just this local show in Woburn, And, Sunday mornings wouldn't have school and stuff like that. So, what'd you say? I was 8 years old, probably a little
less.
Yeah. And I'd just go there. I didn't have any money. He'd give me, $50, $60, just go play around with. I remember just buying the stuff, doing the research all the time, watching YouTube videos. And, I would do the baseball guys, the prospects, who's the next up-and-coming guy, really follow them, follow the stats. And then go and just try and find them, digging through boxes, looking for the, 3 or 4 players I was really looking for, buying them, putting them away. Once they get called up, if they panned out, then that's when you sell. But, it's kind of just stockpiling a bunch of stuff, and, it's been good. That's where I started, so.
And at what point did you realize that this might be a career that you want to pursue as well?
So when I was in school, did a couple years there, and I just kind of liked what I was doing there, but, I kind of would come in and help out here and there. And I always had a passion for this stuff, always loved to do it. And then once it really started to take off during COVID and stuff like that, I'm like, this really is a business. This is booming, strike while the iron's hot, get in now. And I just never looked back, and, I'm here today and couldn't be more happy of the decision, so.
Was COVID a pretty significant time for both of you, like with the whole
absolutely.
hobby in general?
Yeah, it really took it to new levels because everybody was home doing nothing and, finding their old baseball cards and then getting their kids involved. And I never closed down all through COVID either, so people had nothing to do. Everything was closed except us and, like, Walmart. So we just kept it open and kept, the people coming in, and it just really, really took off.
It seems like that was a very pivotal time too, especially when you talk about the online stuff, breaking, all the, just the whole hobby online exploded.
Yeah.
Corey, or do you guys have any thoughts on that, or just in terms of pre-COVID versus during and now post-COVID?
So I can say for me personally, the biggest thing was before COVID, you could walk into a show, you wouldn't even touch your phone. You wouldn't check prices. You wouldn't do anything. You just kind of knew, what the going rate was and stuff like that. What can I pay, this, and that. And say, you think it's a $100 card, you'd offer the guy $75, $80. 90% of the time, he's going to take it. Now, kid comes in the shop, sees a card in here. We have priced at, $50. The last sell was $45. He's going to offer you $20, $25. Just because the flipper market took off.
Yeah.
There's really not a whole lot of true collectors left anymore, for cards at least. And it's just young kids coming in with some decent change, buying a card, selling it to the next guy. Pick up your 10-20% margins and just on to the next card and flip them. But before that, it was really true collectors who were only in it really to buy the players they admired and wanted it, and long-term investment, stuff like that. But now it's in and out.
Do you think that our generation will eventually figure it out and they'll become collectors, or is it always just going to be, since we're used to just the quick flips, is that just going to be what's from here on out?
I think once people start seeing that, what it's really about, because I've been doing this since I was little, and I was buying only stuff I enjoyed. Didn't matter the price, condition, anything if it was a card that I really wanted, I'd go after it and I'd find it and I'd buy it and, just set it aside, look at it here and there and stuff like that. But I think eventually, they'll catch on and say, this really is a cool hobby. There's money to be made. But at the end of the day, all this stuff is meant to, be displayed and, admired and appreciated, not just get it, you don't even care what it is, and then, move it on to the next person. So,
Mr. Castanetti, do you think that COVID and the online presence and these different apps where people are pulling up comparisons, do you think that that's affected the hobby for better or worse?
Definitely for worse.
For worse, is that just because you're an old school collector at heart, or that from a business standpoint, or what makes you say that?
I think both. I'm not used to like he was saying, the kids come in and look at cards and put their phone on it and tell you, well, it's the last one sold for less than this. But, if it sold for more, they don't tell you that.
Right.
They only want the deals. And I just, it's hard for me to cope with all that stuff. It's just changed so much with technology, and, it hasn't been for the better, that's for sure.
Well, it seems like now, like, you're just buying with the market. You're not buying because you like a player, right? You're
I
just,
still do it, like, because if I like somebody, I
course.
buy them, but, it doesn't sell, like, as good as it should because I'm kind of sentimental towards it. But, Corey knows the newer players and, more so than I do, and, he can buy them and flip them and know what to get and when to get it, so it works out good. I do the old stuff, he does the new stuff, and it works out perfect.
run us through all time some of your favorite players and also just like pieces that have come through
My
here.
God, there's just so many. I mean, Mickey Mantle was always my favorite, and I have a large collection of his stuff, and I've had just some great Mickey Mantle stuff. Like I have a picture signed by him and his 4 sons in Yankee Stadium in 1965, and his son actually wants the picture from me because there was only like 10 of them ever signed like that, and 2 of his boys died young. So, that's one of the good ones. But I've had Dave Cowan's MVP award and Bobby Orr game used jerseys, Michael Jordan game used jersey. I mean, a lot of stuff been through my hands over the years.
You just mentioned, like Jordan, Bobby Orr, Mickey Mantle. Those are obviously, very household names. What's something that might be a little bit less mainstream that's come across your desk that you really appreciated?
So even right up there now, I've had it for like 20 years. Blaine Locker's 7th player award from the Bruins back in, I think, 95 and 96. And I've had that, he gave that to me years ago, and it's I could have sold it a million times, but just never wanted to. And I figure one of these days he might want it back, and it'll be here for him when he does.
Talk about that relationship that you're able to build with athletes and some really great players being in this business, and like kind of the respect that you've built for yourself.
So, we've done so many autograph signings and, met players and, like Fred Lynn for the Red Sox is one of my closest friends, Andy Moog.
You did a video for my dad. Fred Lynn was my dad's favorite player ever. So last summer when he was in town, Corey got a video saying, "Hey John, glad to hear."
Oh,
that
that's funny. That's
you always
right. I
loved me
remember
growing
that.
up. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Fred's
Fred Lynn's
great.
my dad's favorite.
Andy Moog from the Bruins goalies, one of my real good buddies, and there's a lot of guys that have come and gone over the years, and I mean mainly the old Bruins are who I'm the closest with, the guys from the 80s and 90s, and we still hang around together. We have one that works for us right now, Glenn Featherstone. I think he overslept today, but he should be coming in.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
So there've been a lot of people, hundreds and hundreds that that I'm still friendly with after all these years.
And do people respect you because you're doing it the right way and you're not just like taking their stuff in and looking, I'm just gonna sell this off because it's worth something? No, I want to hold on to this. Maybe later on in life they'll want it back and I'll give it to them.
Yeah, what, I've done stuff like that, like Fred Lynn years ago called me. Somebody had one of his contracts on eBay and asked if I knew, and I hadn't found out who it was and got it back. And it's personal stuff, social security numbers and all that, and and they don't want stuff like that out there. So you kind of get them in to sign autographs, and you don't kill them and put 1,000 things in front of them, and just do the right thing. And that's what we've done over the years. And 99% of the people I think we still get along with. So, but there's always an occasional few that kind of suck, but
Any
they absolutely
You got the
do.
list, yep.
You want to touch upon? any
I
stories
would
like
love
that?
to. Dustin Pedroia was probably the worst person I've ever dealt with.
Really?
Yep.
Dustin
Just a
Pedroia was
total dope.
He was my favorite Red Sox player.
If you
ever.
met him, you wouldn't have liked him. So
what happened?
he was just not nice. We paid him a ton of money, and he just wasn't nice to people. He had his head down and complained. His hand hurt. And here comes Mr. Featherstone right now.
Hi, Glenn.
How we doing?
So
I remember Dustin Pedroia's first game ever when he was a rookie. The Red Sox had called him up, and I was on the phone with my grandfather because I was on vacation, and he said, "Hey, make sure you watch this second baseman. He's a young little scrappy kid like you." And he goes, "He's going to be a stud someday." So I've always had eyes on him. I wrote to him a couple times. He always, wrote back,
Yeah.
whether it was from him or the Red Sox. But that's too bad to hear. I loved him.
And Julian Edelman was right behind him.
Really?
Yeah. He was not nice either, but there's been a
I
handful.
think it's something about the short little fellows,
yeah,
right?
maybe. Yes, those two are probably the two worst experiences I've ever had.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like, the hockey players specifically, those guys cannot be better guys. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's like a money thing. Obviously they're still making millions of dollars, but they're not getting these $200, $300, $400 million contracts like the baseball players are. The football guys are getting now. So I don't know if just really humble guys. Like we do a lot with Jeremy Swayman now, nicest kid you can meet. It's like just happy to be there. Talking about him, I talked with his father the other day, and I just said your son is fantastic. We deal with a lot of athletes and stuff like that, and a lot of them, head down, not personable. We did a signing in here with Jeremy, stayed the entire time, stayed a little extra, and smile on his face, thank you, please, did everything he could to, make it a good experience for these guys. And, coming from us, seeing all these people, he's, one of the best, so.
That's not the first time that he's come up on this podcast,
Yeah.
and everybody's always had very positive things to say about him. So
Definitely, yeah.
But what are some what are some of the, obviously the day to day in here probably pretty similar. People come in, you buy, you sell. Are there any instances where you kind of were dealing with some crazy stuff over the years?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
Okay. Any specific stories? Yeah.
I mean, it's just tough, you got a big store like this, there's stuff all over the place. You got to watch people when they come in. I mean, I caught my best friend for 40 years stealing 3 or 4 years ago. And
You want to talk about that at all?
yeah, of course. I mean, I helped this guy out over the years and put him to work, and next thing you know, I'm missing cards, and we checked the cameras, and there he is sticking them in his pants. A guy in his 70s at the time, too. And
How did you confront him about that?
it wasn't good, but I would never talk to him again anyway. But, we got back the cards, some of the cards anyway, and who knows what he took that I don't know. But, that's why I tell Corey, you really got to keep an eye on everything, because you never know what's going to happen.
Have the police ever gotten involved here?
Yeah, we buy so many collections, and sometimes they're stolen, and, we try to protect ourselves as much as possible, but, it's hard to all the time. And then, sometimes the police get involved, and if we know it's, like I helped out a guy a couple years ago and got his whole collection back, and, the police came, got the guy that did it. And,
So the Terry Francona story too.
yeah, and Terry Francona's rings were stolen from him a couple years ago in Arizona, and the guy in Arizona at a card store called me that I knew and told me, and I called Terry, and Terry just found out that they were missing, and so we all got together, and we ended up getting the rings back for him.
How does Terry Francona react to that?
I mean, he was pretty good while it was going on. Afterwards, he really hasn't, stepped up. He could have, done a little more than he did, which is pretty much nothing except thank you. But, I've asked him to do a signing, and just, I mean, I don't know. You help people out, you think that they would, reciprocate a little bit, but.
You would think he would want to do you a favor after what you did for
Yeah,
him?
I mean, you would think so. And Mike Eruzione is another one that I did the biggest favor ever for him, and I got him, helped him out selling his Olympic memorabilia. He got $1.6 million, didn't give me one penny, and I was instrumental in getting him to an auction house to sell it, waiving the buyer's fee on him, and so that was 10% right up the top he saved, which is $160,000, and got nothing. So he's on the top of my list of not nice people.
So those are your top three: Eruzione, Edelman, and Pedroia.
1, 2, and 3.
Corey, is there a story with the FBI that I've heard rumors about? Are we allowed to talk about this?
Absolutely.
That's what I was kind of prodding. That's what I was prodding at with the police. But tell us about the time that you got investigated by the FBI.
Well, I didn't get investigated. I got arrested.
Okay.
So I got arrested at gunpoint, more guns than I've ever seen. And
Is it like the movies where they come in
was-
the jackets?
it
and
was just like that. And it's funny because I knew Ted Williams' kid, and he was a scumbag. And he was just maybe the worst person I've ever met in my life. He would just take advantage of every person he could, his father included, and he was just a rotten human being. But his father's rings came in my shop in Everett in 1997, and I called him up immediately and told him what I had, and I said, you want to get them back? He goes, absolutely. I said, they stolen? He goes, no, they're not stolen, but I have to get them back. I got to get them back. So the guy that had them had a price in mind that he wanted, and so I let them talk, and they arranged it all. So he flew to Boston. We met in a hotel room, and he had a lawyer with him who was an undercover FBI agent, and I brought a lawyer with me just to protect myself because I knew the kid was a creep. And next thing you know, the money was exchanged hands. We get up to leave, and the doors just came crashing in, like 2 side doors and the front door with the vests on and the FBI and guns and rifles, and there must have been 10 or 15 guys with guns pointing at us, and it was pretty crazy. But
why did the FBI have the eyes on the rings to begin with?
They didn't.
Okay.
They didn't. This Williams' kid went to them and told them that the rings were stolen.
And
he signed an
lying to them,
affidavit
right?
that said they weren't stolen, and we put them on Nesson. I mean, I had 1 million people on Nesson that watched a whole show about these rings, and then we get arrested. I mean, the FBI just blew it totally. We were the only people to beat the FBI that year in Boston, but they just it was ridiculous what they did, and only because it was Ted Williams.
Mm. Yeah. So after that happens, will they take you away?
Oh yeah. We were locked up for the night and went right to court the next day, and then we went to federal court in, I think, 3 months later, March of '98, and for a couple weeks of trial, and we were looking at 5 to 7 years mandatory sentence, and they offered to just plead guilty. I said, plead guilty for nothing. And so my lawyer said, you know what, I don't know what to tell you. Then they kept coming back. We'll give you a year. We'll give you 6 months house arrest. We'll do this. I said, don't do me a favor. Don't even call me again. I did nothing wrong. I'd rather go to jail.
And so they were just compromised. They kept
That's all they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They just try to get a conviction, and it doesn't matter. As long as they win the case, that's what they want. And they scare you, and it didn't work here, and so we got acquitted. And
whatever happened to Ted Williams' son?
Dead.
Did he die?
35 years old, dead of leukemia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
man.
tough.
Yeah, couldn't happen to a nicer person.
Yeah, right. And Corey, you were just that was the beginning of your life, right? That was right.
I was
He
born
wasn't born yet.
3 years after.
Oh, okay.
So, but my sister, I think Mom was pregnant with Haley at the time, right?
No.
Okay, so close to that.
Right before that.
They were, yeah. So
No,
it was-
she might have been. It was right
I was
around
gonna
there.
say,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So that definitely wasn't too
It was a
easy
stressful
going.
time.
Yeah.
In the time, like from when you were arrested up until like you were found not guilty, like what was your what was your business like? Did people think
God.
that everything in here was stolen?
Well,
were you trying to like operate like you were on thin ice? Or were
So
you
most
saying
people
nothing was
know
wrong?
that know the business knew that Ted Williams' kid was a creep.
Okay.
So they knew that. We told them the story. Everybody kind of knew what really happened, and they just were coming in, and it really wasn't bad. I mean, any publicity is good publicity in the end, and it worked out to be tremendous because now everybody in the country knew of us because it was in every newspaper, Sports Illustrated. I mean, everybody picked up on that story. And
He also had a 50% off sale of all Ted Williams memorabilia just to get people.
on April 1st, like 3 weeks after we won the case. And it was the biggest day I think I ever had. They were lined up around the corner.
Oh, yeah?
Everything I had, Ted Williams was half off.
Did you just spike up the prices too on them?
No, not really. Just wanted to just sell stuff. And
Yeah, you get rid of it.
you just get rid of it and get some more publicity. And
That's a good way to go out with a bang on that.
And Williams' kid wasn't happy. He went to his lawyers again and made a
because
big
you're just
fuss.
fucking up the
Don't
market.
tell me what I can do with my stuff. I can do whatever I want
You
with
own
it.
it, right?
Yeah,
He
it's
also
mine.
got caught too faking his dad's autograph
That's
and
right.
tried to sell it off as real. And just another thing that proves
And I was friends with him at one time, and I flew to Florida with him, and he was joking on the plane, getting napkins and writing his father's name, like identical to his father. So I know for a fact that he did it because I saw what he could do. And then, after the All-Star game, his father was in a wheelchair, could hardly move, and then like a week later, these beautiful panoramic pictures came out with Ted Williams' flowing signatures like he was 20 years old. And I know Ted couldn't write like that because I saw some things he did. I mean, he was shaky, and these things were just beautiful. So I figured the kid had to have done them.
How do you learn like signature? Like, what is that like in the? Obviously, you hope not to deal with it, but there's probably things that come across in the industry that are fake signatures, whatever, not just non-authentic like pieces of memorabilia. What is that like space like, and like how do you avoid it?
So years ago, everybody got caught. I mean, everybody bought fake stuff because back 30, 35 years ago, it was, there was no policing anything. There was no authenticators except us and, or whoever was buying the stuff, and you trusted people. And then, that's when all the bad people started being able to make money, forging things, and then that Operation Bullpen happened, and they arrested a bunch of guys for forging, and now we're on a good relationship with some of the professional authenticators, so we can just email or just, take a picture and send it to them right while people are in the store, and, that way we're 100% and we'll never, get caught with anything bad.
Yeah.
So the tens of thousands of autographs in here, I can guarantee you there's not one that's fake.
What's the process like if somebody does walk in with the fake, and let's say that I came in here, I have a fake Ted Williams signature. Are you going to tell me to screw, or are you going to get somebody involved?
No, we just tell them, some people don't know. Some people do, some people don't. But we just tell them, you know what, it's fake, we don't want it.
Okay.
If they make a fuss, then we get a little chippy too. But, we just tell them, it's no good, we can't use it.
Have customers ever gotten confrontational with you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
same thing, like going off of, the fake memorabilia stuff. You'll have a guy come in and say, my grandfather got this, Babe Ruth ball signed in person, it's 100% good. And then you say, unfortunately, sir, like this is just, it's not even close. Like this is not an authentic baseball, bullshit. I've had this thing for 30 years. My dad had it for another 60 years. Like it's 100%, and it's on like a baseball from 5 years ago. You know what I mean? You just don't want to let them down easy. But you're like, dude, there's just no way. I'm sorry, but a lot of people take it to heart. But there's so much of that stuff floating around that it's almost hard not to. You know what I mean? I'd say probably 2-3 times a week we get people coming in with fake stuff. But now I haven't been in the business as long as him. But now I can start to, spot them pretty easy. There's like little tells in the signature and stuff like that. And the biggest thing I see is if it's not like a consistent streak. Like if someone's really trying to trace, like if I tried to copy your signature, I'm not just going to go, I'm going to go slow and like make sure I, dot the T's.
There's a little
and
wiggle
stuff
in
like
it.
that.
You can see where, like, if you stop for like a half a second, that the ink builds up. I mean, you can, with a magnifying glass, you look at these and you can just... You can tell, and if we can't tell, we send the pictures out and, make sure that we don't get caught.
Corey, what's it like learning this business? Because it's not like a traditional, management position that you just go to school for.
Yeah.
You have to, like you're talking about with the autographs and everything like that. Like you learn a lot just from the experience.
Yeah.
How was that just growing up around it?
Still learning. You know what I mean? It's hard to put into words how much stuff that there really is out there that's considered memorabilia. Everything from bobbleheads to autographs to pennants, cards, pucks, jerseys, you name it. And, you could put two different things in front of me. I could, 90% of the time tell you which one's good, which one's bad, like picking it up. But you just kind of have to keep learning and keep learning and keep learning, because also you never know what's going to walk in the door too. Someone could come in with something that, looks old, could be worth something. If I'm like, I don't know what it is, and turn it down, that thing could be, a first year program of the Red Sox or something like that you wouldn't really know unless you've seen one before or did your due diligence on it. So there's just always something new to learn every day. So that's the coolest part about it.
And I tell them to look at every collection because, I mean, even like it's junk stuff, and you can tell the junk stuff from the 80s and 90s. It's just throwaway stuff because they made so much of it. But even a couple months ago, there was a box over there, and I walked away from it, and it was all 80s stuff. But in the middle of the 80s was a bunch of 61 Flair basketball, which is real sought after, and there was thousands of dollars worth of cards in the middle of that junk. So.
And the guy didn't know.
No, and we gave him like shop money because it was all junk. We were just going to give it to kids, and then as we went through it, we found this little stack of old cards in the middle of it all. So you kind of always got to look because you never know what could be in there.
Needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. It's the same thing too. It's like if someone drops off like a huge collection that it's going to take a couple days to go through, most of the time we're not going to buy it on site. We're going to get your phone number, get your name, all that stuff. Go through it. If we find anything good, that's when you like really start to negotiate. But if it's all really is just all junk, we're just gonna offer you whatever it is. And the biggest thing for that is we've been in business so long that you feel proud about representing your name and stuff like that. So like I think it gives people a sense of security, knowing they're not gonna get screwed. We've been doing this long enough where it's like you don't stay in business this long by burning bridges and trying to pull a fast one on people like that. And it's just being honest with people, open, and at the end of the day, they're gonna make their money, you're gonna make your money. So why try and cut into it and stiff someone that could be life-changing money to them. So
what's it been like seeing Corey kind of grow up in the store and learn the hobby and hopefully eventually take it over?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I got a couple years and I want to get to the warm weather, so hope he's doing good and like finally cracking down a little bit and figuring it out. So hopefully he can keep it for another 40 years.
That's good, Corey. Like obviously the the industry is like changing quite a bit. Have you and your dad ever kind of like butt heads on the best way to run things, adapting to all the new changes, or?
For sure. Yeah, I mean it's all in good fun. I mean we get into.
No, it's not.
Yeah, he's sick of it, but I don't know. I think it's coming from two different generations, two different business standpoints. Like I am learning. We were with me in Chantilly and traveled and everything, so how like the new fast-paced market works. It's in and out, left, right, whatever it is, and he kind of sits back, waits for his price. Doesn't really care about final sale value. It's what it's worth to someone, but when I got these kids coming in, super strict. You can buy everything online now, and we're starting up a new website now that integrates Shopify and our eBay store linked directly to our website. All it is just generates more sales, gets more eyes on our products, and we have the biggest collection I think anywhere. Bar none. You come in here and take a look around, and you never know what you're going to find. And you got to have the brick and mortar to, buy and sell, obviously, but the amount of eyes you get online, you just can't beat it. So, it's missing out on a whole chunk of business if you don't really go after that and target it. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're headed now for sure.
Do you guys go to shows together at all?
Used to.
Okay.
Yep. Now he kind of just mans the shop.
I'm showed out.
Yeah. Do you think that you two have, like, a different... If you go to a show in a booth, right, and they see you, Corey, and they're like, they're going to give you a different price because you're just a kid that's coming in trying to hustle and stuff, and whereas if you come by, you're a little bit more about your business, and, like, they kind of know you're in it, you've been in it for a long time, and like, even if they don't know you already, is there some kind of just, like, face appeal that changes the price?
I would say more, not even at shows, just even in the shop.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to like blow my own tires or anything like that, but I'm pretty much an expert at this point on the cards and stuff like that. And you'll get guys come in, I'll come up, hey, like, how can I help you? You're looking to sell, looking to buy. Oh, I'm trying to sell this, but I need to see Phil. I'm like, well, I'm Phil's son. Like, is there anything I can? No. It's okay. Like, I got to see Phil.
Are these older guys?
Older people, which I get it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You see a young face coming up to you, like, oh, you're not messing with my pockets. Let me go to the guy who's been doing it for almost 40 years and, go from there. But I do get it. But sometimes it's like, damn, like, I wish, I could do more and, try and help these guys out. But at the end of the day, they want to deal with Pops, so.
Makes sense. What do you guys think about, like, Fanatics? And, like, we were just talking about this yesterday, like, last night at dinner, I think.
Yep.
But, like, the way they're moving in business is, like, very aggressive.
Yeah.
But it's paying off for them. I'm curious to see, like, both your thoughts on just, like, their business strategy and, like, taking over, like, especially the licensed memorabilia.
You want to start?
Yeah, I don't mind what they're doing, but their prices are just a little crazy.
Yeah.
And we're bringing
That's
in
what I was getting at.
athletes, and it's just everything they have is overpriced, and it doesn't have to be. But I don't think it's good for the memorabilia market because they're almost like a monopoly now, and people are going to have to go through them to get new cards if that's going to happen. Buying out tops, and I mean it's I don't know. I don't like it, but there's a lot of things I don't like about the new things going on. So
Personally, I don't really have a problem with it because almost everything in here, you can show people, say, oh, I can buy it on Fanatics. I'll go on my phone, show them the Fanatics price, and, like, something Jason Tatum in here is $800 on Fanatics. Here we get them for, $300-$400. You're saving, 50% just because, we're locally sourced, we get the stuff locally. It's not like we have to pay Tatum to come in $100,000 to sign a bunch of stuff. We're getting it from the guys going to the games, getting it signed, him doing a little private signing here and there, and, working with other companies, and, we've built relationship with those guys. We can get it for the cheapest price. So
Do you
I
send
tell people,
guys
go
to the games?
look on Fanatics.
Do you send guys to, like, games and stuff, or just, like, events to get autos?
We
or
have
is it-
guys who do that kind of.
we don't send them, but
It's more the
They-
guys. that
yeah,
go.
That's like
they
their
wanna make money.
side gig, I would say.
And they know you'll buy it if they get it. So
Yep.
yeah, that makes sense.
But that's another thing. It's coming right off the street, so there's no authentication with it, no certs like that. So, even if you trust them to get it done, that's another thing. You still have to send it out.
Yeah,
get it
or we'd have them,
authenticated
make them, take a picture while they're signing the stuff. Just so, I mean, we don't really get fooled on, current players, but I mean, some of the ones that they just scribble, like the new Bruins, it's just
They come
awful.
back with a Ted Williams auto.
Yeah.
You don't know how they got that.
Yeah.
No,
Another thing too is now, which doesn't help, is the autographs are so bad. They're just terrible. Like, if you look up, Cam Reddish, there's like a card he signed, and it's just a straight line.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
It's a straight line.
It's disgusting. They shouldn't even be allowed to do that. They should say, if don't make some sense out of it, then we're not going to pay you to sign them. But they don't care because they make so much money that it doesn't matter if they don't.
And they
do
give
that.
them a sheet of 10,000 that they just
stickers.
have to,
Yeah.
all this. Yeah. Was that they used to really pride themselves in the auto?
I mean, like Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, even Ted Williams. I mean, those guys had beautiful, beautiful signatures, and they kept them like that all through their careers and lives afterwards. And I mean, they had pride in their autograph. These guys now, I mean, it's wild. Like it's just scribbles.
Most of the time, you barely will be able to tell who it is unless there's a number. Number 5, it's on like a Bruins puck or something like that. Through that. But it shouldn't be like that. And I'm not even saying, full penmanship, you should be able to read it, but at least give
clear
someone
initials,
a chance.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, company we do business with just did a signing with Christian Gonzalez, the new Pats cornerback. And they said when he sat down, he started signing, his autograph was so bad that they had to be like, listen, like, we can't, really pay you unless you give a better signature than that. I think you just did like a quick CG or like C in a loop or something like that, and they're like, this is really bad. So he changed it up and like he did the right thing and wrote out his full name. And I just wish more players took their time. And I get it, you're signing a million things, you do it every day, but I mean, take a little pride in what you're doing.
Who are some of your favorite autos that you've come across?
Like eye appeal wise, or
Both, yeah.
let's see. Derek Jeter was a fantastic autograph. Oh yeah. Trying to think some other ones. Joe DiMaggio I like a lot. I'm gonna just keep going with Yankees.
Yeah, go ahead. What's it like being a Yankees fan, running a sports memorabilia shop in Boston?
Oh, you start. You're the
You know what? I've always been a Yankee fan, so I don't know anything else. But some people get serious. I mean, I've been in fist fights at Fenway Park, and I mean, people really get crazy. I mean, it's a game, but it's a passion for these Red Sox fans especially, and I mean, it gets a little crazy at times.
Do you ever think that kind of, being a Yankees fan, having the hatred towards the Red Sox, you ever have kind of like blinders on when either somebody brings you some Mickey Mantle memorabilia or somebody brings you Red Sox memorabilia?
I mean, you have to. I mean, we're in the middle of Boston, Red Sox country, and, that's mainly what we sell here. But, it's a business, and I'm a Yankee fan, so it shouldn't be a big deal, but to some people it is.
What would you say that, like, out of all the professional teams that you sell out of here, which team makes up the most of your revenue? Is it Bruins?
I would have to say the Bruins, yeah. Especially the early 70s Bruins, when they won a couple cups, the Bobby Orr era. I mean, those guys played together, went out together, hung together, lived together. I mean, they were just inseparable, and they stayed, that same core for many years. And I mean, everybody recognized them. Like, we had 8 of them here about 2 months ago, and the place was packed like I've never seen. They all stayed an extra hour. They thanked me for bringing them in. I mean, it's just such a difference working with guys from 50 years ago compared to guys now. I mean, they want to come in and out, scribble, get paid big money, and most of them are just awful.
So we reached out to Kristaps Porzingis to try and get him in. Obviously, hot Celtics player. So we were trying to do like an hour and a half, and we got quoted at $30,000. So it's like,
who's he with? What agency?
I don't know what the rep is right now, but that's
nuts.
It was crazy, yeah.
Wow.
And people actually pay that?
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy money, but at the end of the day, this guy's a millionaire. He gets paid for his time. It's crazy to think about. You know what I mean? $30K an hour, but I mean, hey, he can get it. People are going to give it to him, so good for him for getting the money.
Let's say you did pay that, right? What would be the most valuable pieces to get signed during that time, and make it worthwhile? So
for us, we try and do signings just for the people. You know what I mean? Like, we can get this stuff
and you sell tickets
at a cheaper cost, you know what I mean, without, going directly through them and stuff like that. So, we just get them in to, draw some publicity, get people in, make people happy, meet their favorite Bruins player, Celtics player, new Patriot, something like that. So, for us, it's, you lose money, just trying to get people in the door, but, it sometimes worth it to us.
Yeah, maybe not when it's $30,000.
No, when it's a big penny
years
like that,
ago, I used to pay people $300 back in the late '80s. I mean, in big names too, and then they'd sign as much stuff as you wanted, and that's why we have such a a big inventory. Like I said, tens of thousands of autographs, and all that stuff now is long paid for. And I tell Corey he doesn't like that stuff as much as I do, but it's free. I mean, how you sell something, it's all profit because it's been paid for. You can use it to trade for stuff or, sell cheap, whatever. We got it, so you might as well take advantage of it.
That makes sense. Going forward, what does the future of, Sportsworld and I guess the industry as a whole look like for you guys?
I think it looks pretty good right now. I mean, it depends on if what happens with this country going forward too. It's a mess right now, but I mean, as long as you can keep the economy going strong, this business will never die, and I mean, it can only hopefully get better.
Yeah, I think as things get older and older too, it's like, I know there's inflation and all that stuff, but Mickey Mantle rookies back in the day when he was doing it, 5,000, 10,000, you know what I mean, for a decent shape. Now you can't touch one that's ripped in half for like under 20 to 30 grand, you know? So it's like the more vintage stuff now, and I was talking about this the other day with, you know, a couple of my card buddies, and we're just saying like the Mahomes market could win his third Super Bowl now pretty soon. And what's going to happen with those prices? You know, is this stuff going to explode? Is it going to kind of stay until, you know, he really solidifies him at that? But I toss him in the, you know, the Brady, Montana, Mahomes category if he gets this next one. I mean, he's still 28 years old, 6 consecutive AFC championships. Like, it doesn't happen, and people
You think they're going to win it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yep. I just can't bet against Mahomes. That's how I've looked at it. You know, been an underdog playing on the road this whole playoffs and just keeps
Everyone's
winning.
better,
So
right?
how do you go against it?
When I woke up that like last Sunday and I saw Mahomes as the dog, I was thinking that's like what Brady used to be when he was playing Mahomes, like, you know, still at the peak of his career. But everybody said, oh, Mahomes is going to knock him off. They angered Brady, and then Brady dominated him.
Yeah.
That's the exact same thing that Pat did last weekend.
And it just goes to show he's like, what, 14-3 in the playoffs? 2 losses from Brady and 1 from, I think, Barrow. So, you know, I mean, the record's there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
It's a big Sunday coming up for him. If he wins this game, then he's definitely in the, you know, top 5 quarterbacks of all time. And
What's that going to do to his card value, like, immediately after, if he wins?
So, a couple years ago when he won, too, there wasn't a huge bump, 5-10% on, you know, right after the Super Bowl, and then it just kind of evened off right where it was. But because, you know, they weren't a great team this year, people have short memories. So his stuff probably, you know, dropped a good, you know, 5-10%. So back down to, you know, below average. Now his stuff's going back up because everyone's like, oh, I got to get it now before he wins the next ring. I got to get it. And, you know, it's starting to come up. And then if he gets it, we'll see. You know, it's really, I wish I could tell you, but we'll see where his market is. And, you know, I was high on Lamar this year. I thought he was finally going to get over the playoff choke hump. But it just goes to show.
Yeah, that was tough.
Greatness,
I think that was tough for a lot of people.
Yep.
But, no, I'm excited. I'm going out to Vegas on Tuesday.
That's awesome.
Next Tuesday.
you going to the game?
No, I'm not going to the game. I'm just going to a bunch of like events out there, and then I'm going to Waste Management in Phoenix golf tournament.
What hole are you
I
going
don't
to
know shit about golf, but I'm going.
What hole are you going to be at?
I think all over, but
Really?
I think 16 we have like is it 16?
Yeah.
The big one. I think we have like pretty good access there.
That's awesome.
So,
That's going to be a
yeah,
good time.
it should be good.
Yeah.
It'll be great. So
Just
awesome.
Before we head out, Corey, like, what do you like see the future of Sportsworld holding in particular?
Obviously I want to do a lot more online, a lot more, you know, modern stuff, but still, you know, pay homage to the vintage guys because you can't, you know, they're legends, they're immortalized, and, you know, as bad as it sounds, you know, once they start, you know, passing away, it just makes it that much, you know, tougher and, you know, cooler to have a piece of them, you know. And I just think just being fair, honest, and, you know, transparent with my customers and, you know, my clients, that I can only grow it from here. You know, it's the work I put in, however much I put in, I'm going to get out, and I know that, and just staying on top of things, and, you know, I'm excited to see where the future, you know, holds for this business for sure.
You trust Corey?
Next question. Of course.
Yeah.
In the bloodline.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
thank you guys. Unless
Thank
there's anything else that you want to add, anybody else you want to call out
Well,
and tell them you
just
hate
that
them?
we're at 184 Broadway in Saugus,
There we go.
which is Route 1 North, and we're right on the highway, and 781-233-7222 is the phone number.
All right, we'll plug that all for you guys.
Awesome.
Sounds
All right,
good.
perfect.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
so much. That was fun.
Thank you.